What's that? Sylvia Plath with a unique perspective about motherhood in a clever poem? It can't be, but it is. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear, of course, in the poetry discussion playlist. The poem in question today is known as Metaphors. Now, I have to say off the top, first off, the poetry discussion playlist now over 600 videos strong, but on a personal level, unless you're Charles Bukowski, I do not like poems about writing. I do not like poems about being a writer. But poems about literary devices, poems using literary devices in clever and unique ways, I am all on board. Metaphors by Sylvia Plath reads as such. I'm a riddle in 9 syllables, an elephant, a ponderous house, a melon strolling on 2 tendrils. O red fruit, ivory, fine timbers. This loaf's big with its yeasty rising. Money's new minted in this fat purse. I'm a means, a stage, a cow and calf. I've eaten a bag of green apples, boarded the train. There's no getting off. This is an interesting and unique poem. This is a jam-packed poem. So I'm going to do this in a way that I don't always do, which is breaking it down line by line. And by all means, I probably have missed some things here. This poem is very dense, so if you have anything to correct from my interpretation, if you have anything to add to my interpretation, by all means do so. I'm a riddle in 9 syllables. First, this line here is 9 syllables if you count them. So, congrats. Second, the poem seems to be about a metaphor about pregnancy, right? 9 syllables, 9 months. Fairly easy line unless there's something deeper I'm not missing. An elephant, a ponderous house. First, elephants are large. That is something that will come back up in this poem time and time again. Second, elephants are matriarchal animals. I missed the S there. Matriarchal animals. The herd of elephants is led by the biggest female among them. Elephants are animals that keep their young with them, and very, maybe ironically so, if you're reading into the tone of this poem, elephants are very loyal. Elephants are very they do not leave the young behind, things like that. So elephants are notorious for being very hostile if one of the young is put in danger. Also, I am a ponderous house. A house is also large. But also, people live in houses. Like the baby is growing inside the mother. Also, the house is seen as a symbol of the family. Sylvia Plath's, Sylvia Plath, because we can't sort of assume that the speaker is the same in all poems, even though Sylvia Plath is famous for writing confessional poetry. The ideas in Sylvia Plath's poetry about the family dynamic are not traditional, but traditional symbols can be employed in ironic ways. Traditional symbols can be employed in order to make a greater point than just the symbol. If you are reading this poem in tandem with others, the idea of the family unit is one that is called into question by the symbol of the ponderous house. A melon strolling on 2 tendrils. A melon is round. A melon has seeds inside of the melon itself. The melon is large, round, bulging, ripe. So we don't really get a statement in this poem about the state of the pregnancy. How far along is the speaker? but that image is there for sure. The tendrils, I'm assuming, are just her legs, right? We're strolling around on two tendrils. I am not sure if there is a deeper metaphor meant with the object of the tendrils there. O red fruit, ivory, fine timbers. I think this line is less refined than the others, but fairly out there. I mean, an interesting line, a finely crafted line, but perhaps less so than an elephant, a ponderous house, right? The red fruit is a ripe fruit. The ivory seems to be a reference to skin tone, I'm assuming, and the fine timbers, again, are legs. So the Sylvia Plath's skill as a poet leads me to believe that I am missing something here, that there is something more going on in this line than I am able to articulate. This loaf's big with its yeasty rising. This is an interesting one, perhaps crass, but perhaps crass. I'm not going to say it is crass. Bread is often seen as a symbol for sacrifice. I have this bread. Bread is broken. You can eat from my bread, right? Bread is seen as a staple in dining, often with others. It is used to symbolize friendship, used to symbolize business, used to symbolize all sorts of things. But also in Christianity, it is a symbol for the body of Christ. It is a symbol for sacrifice. So the statement on motherhood there is that something is being sacrificed by being with child. Obviously, the mother suffers during the pregnancy, right? That is for sure, but something is sacrificed. So Christ sacrificed his future, giving up his future on earth, being crucified at 33, giving up the rest of that future for something else to emerge, that being the salvation of humanity in the Christian texts. The yeast metaphor, I'm not really going to go into. Maybe there's something there, maybe there's not, maybe it's crass, maybe it's not. But yeast does make bread rise, so we'll leave that part there. I have heard interpretations that I think are on a limb talking about the fact that yeast is an interaction. The yeast and bread is an interaction. That's what makes the bread rise. I think that is getting too far into the weeds. I don't think, and maybe I'm just completely wrong, that is the statement being made here. Money's new minted in this fat purse. This is an interesting line to me. I don't particularly get this line. Fat purse, obviously a reference to women, obviously a reference to size. The question of size comes up in this poem time and again. But you have to wonder, money's new minted in this fat purse. Money is richness. Money, currency, is in exchange for things. Is this a metaphor for the child enriching the mother's life? I don't know. I think that would be okay. I don't know that I am willing to make that interpretation with a Sylvia Plath poem because I've read other Sylvia Plath poems. Were this a poem, I were an editor, this poem was submitted to me, that's what I would believe that this line was saying. I don't know that I see it here, but I might be biased with prior readings. I'm a means, a stage, a cow in calf. A means as in the means to an end, the means to the end of continuing a legacy, the means of continuing a family name, the means to continuing into the future generations. This seems to be more in tune with the way that Plath refers to motherhood, that it is not necessarily about love but function. And at least that's my reading of Sylvia Plath. So I think that might be what's going on there. But it would be, I think that perhaps the larger commentary being made is that it is about legacy, but not her legacy, the speaker's legacy. A stage is likely a reference to being on stage. Something is shown off on stage. The child/man is showing on the stage. The pregnancy is a sign that a man has been there, if that makes any sense. The man is standing on the stage of the woman. The child is standing on the stage of the woman. One thing that you hear oftentimes as being one of the strange things from mothers that they didn't anticipate as being part of the process or experience of being pregnant is that no one really asks about you. They ask about the child. They ask about the relationship, the father. So I imagine that is what is being commented on there. A cow and calf is fairly obvious. A cow and a calf are, mother and child, but also cows are used for milk. So this could be a further commentary on the fact that at this point, the mother becomes provider seems a bit of a stretch in the context. The mother becomes, again, means for that child to grow. I've eaten a bag of green apples. This is another line that is complex to me. I imagine that what is being symbolized here is green apples. Green apples are sour. So I am sour on this experience. But one of the interpretations that you will hear of this poem is that green apples are being used because they are unripe, and they are therefore a symbol of a growing baby. That's not true. Green apples, as you buy them, are apples that have been cultivated to be green. They are a type of apple, not an unripe apple. So I don't buy that argument, but maybe that is what is being commented on there. I'm not 100% sure. Boarded the train, there's no getting off. This is an interesting one because I think that it's twofold, and it's twofold for everything being commented on in the poem itself. Boarded the train, the speaker is pregnant and in for the 9 months. So just like you get on a train and you're not getting off until you get to your stop, you don't get to pick where it stops. The speaker, in my opinion, here is making a commentary on that. I am boarded by this child. This child is in me. And I am in for this entire duration. But alternatively, this puts the speaker as well in the role of being a symbol of the train. The speaker has been boarded. The speaker is the train for the baby. That baby is in for the ride and not getting off until. Interestingly, if we want to take this line in that route, no pun intended, the train doesn't decide where it goes. The train is on the tracks, but the conductor decides where that train is going. Is this a symbol? Is this a reference to the man in the relationship? Maybe. I will leave it at that. That is what I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing that I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There's poetry every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.